Okay. Hello, everyone. This is The Long Game, where I talk to people about their first and last major turning points in their lives. I'm Sahr Ngaujah, coming to you from Vaughn in New York City. It's one of my favorite haunts for many years now. And I'm with, well, my first guest is KENAN Thompson, who, of course, many of you know as the longest running cast member of Saturday Night Live. How you doing, man?
I'm excellent, my brother. Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. So, KENAN, we've known each other for a very long time.
Yeah, you might want to let the people know exactly how long.
Yeah, I don't know.
For me, it was 11th grade. Were you in 12th grade at the time?
Yeah,
You were?
I was. I
Yeah.
would have been in the 12th grade then. But I think I encountered you maybe a little before that. But yeah, so speaking of that, let's jump into the reason why we met, which is a man named Freddie Hendrix.
Yep.
And the Freddie Hendrix Youth Ensemble of Atlanta. Let's just talk a little bit about.
When did you start in it?
I met Freddie when I was in the 11th grade. So I guess I was.
So yeah, I think I met you at school.
Yeah, right.
Because I remember the day. I remember like Jahi introducing us. You were like the second person I met. You know what I'm saying?
That's
so it was
wild.
like immediately. So the backstory, real quick. You know, YEA came into my life because the lady that played the organ at my church knew that my brother and I played the keyboards. And she was involved with Freddie some kind of way. I think she was playing music for YEA at the time. But, you know, YEA was all about, you know, the kids doing everything kind of thing. That was kind of like the concept. So the one kind of thing that was missing was, you know, musicians, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So my brother and I joined as keyboard players. You know what I'm saying? And we were playing music. I wasn't even on the stage at all. The one time I was gonna take the stage, Jahi was late, and they didn't know if he was gonna make it. So like I had to like pretend that I knew all his parts or something because I semi did. So, you know, we you know the keyboards were hidden. You know what I'm saying? So we were in this little kind of cardboard hut. You know what I'm saying? On the stage playing all the music. And so I step out, you know what I'm saying? I emerge from the little shingles, you know what I mean? The little plastic shingles come through, ready to like sing this solo that I don't really know, you know what I'm saying? I could never do it, you know, as great as Jahi, you know what I'm saying? It's just he's a special talent, you know what I mean? So I'm getting my courage up and like, you know, I wasn't really like a stage performer really quite yet. I had done a couple things, whatever, but I was trying to decide, you know, whatever life was gonna offer, sports, you know, music, you know, this, that, and the other, maybe acting, maybe. So I step out, ready to sing, and it's like 4 beats before I'm supposed to start. I look to my right, Jahi is there, huffing and puffing like, I got it, KENAN. I turn around, go back in the hut, didn't say a word, back on the keyboards, you know what I'm saying? So that was like my first years of YA. And then I ended up going to Woodward, and they had a theater program there. So, you know, I fell out of, you know, I fell out of rotation with YA for some reason, I guess, because, you know, it was just more convenient, I guess, to just get it at school or something. And then, you know, Woodward ended up like dismissing me because I was, you know, starting to, you know, act and miss school or whatever. So they tried to like, you know, make me choose between a good attendance record and acting. So I ended up going to Tri-Cities because I heard Freddie was over there. And I was like, well, that's crazy. You know, it's right around the corner. Freddie's the drama teacher. I'm going there. You know what I'm saying? First day was awful because, you know, I'm mad awkward coming from private school all of a sudden in the public school. I don't know how to dress, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause we've been wearing uniforms. I look like a full nerd. And drama was the last period, you know what I'm saying? So my whole day was just like, felt like, you know, not even the ugly duckling, it's just like the square, you know, full fish out of water duckling kind of thing all day. And then I get to drama, first person I see is Jahi. I'm like, fucking thank God, you know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, good to see you, blah, blah, blah. Within that same sentence, it was, this is Mike. And I was like, wow. 2 of my like lifelong kind of friends being thrust back into my life within 4 seconds of each other. You know what I'm saying? It was fantastic. So from that day on, I was very comfortable at Tri-Cities, you know what I'm saying? Because I had my tribe, you know what I mean? And then we just did what we did, and we was a squad. So I'm sorry, that was a long story, but that's that backstory, man. It's just so crazy. And since then,
I'm Mike, by the way, you guys.
Yeah,
People know me as
this
Sahr,
is
but I'm
Mike.
also Mike.
Yeah. Mike became Sahr as he grew into his knowledge of self, you know what I'm saying? Knowledge of self. That's another thing, you know, that Tri-Cities helped us discover, you know what I mean? Being proud enough to look into our history like that, you know? Yeah.
I want to ask you a little bit about how you were working. You were, I think, by that time you were already quite busy with Nickelodeon. And the way I have understood it over the years, your mom was a real driving force in terms of like, interjecting you into the career or guiding some of the things that you were doing at that time. And I just wanted to ask you a little bit about what the two presences, your mom and Freddie Hendrix, like how that was.
Man, I felt like we were very blessed, you know what I mean? Because growing up in Atlanta, it felt like most of Atlanta were your parents, you know what I'm saying? It was that kind of thing, like we were all black and we were all supposed to behave ourselves, you know what I'm saying? And if you were in the criminal life, that was, we were just talking about this, like y'all were just over there with that, you know what I'm saying? Like the rest of us were, going to church and, minding our manners and like minding everybody else's parents, riding together, sharing everything, you know what I'm saying? So having it more, closer to home with like a very specific individual like Freddie. And then, my mom was, there to support it. She was the one to take me to auditions. She never was like, come on, boy, we about to go to this audition and you better get the part. She would just be like, oh, we would find out that there's an audition and we would go. You know what I mean? She'd be the one to do it. She was my biggest, kind of supporter along the way. Still is, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I wanted to ask you something about, you brought up something about how, the way in which your mom supported you. For a lot of people that we hear about who were child actors or who started as young as you did, there are these stories about like the rough patch that they went through publicly, the ups and downs that they faced. Or we also hear about how maybe their parents were very aggressive, in terms of like, you've got to do this, you've got to accomplish this sort of thing. Was the community of Atlanta and the way that your mom was with you, I mean, is that what allowed you to kind of, how does what you experienced in that time relate to the longevity that you now have?
I mean, I think I give that credit to, a few things. I mean, definitely lucky to be growing up in Atlanta, because there was some sort of an inkling of an industry, definitely more so than where my parents come from in Virginia, right? So at least we got TBS, TNT, some commercials to audition for. So back then there was, some sort of, kind of window into the business, you know what I'm saying? There's agents. So like, it wasn't a lot of movies necessarily the way it is now and, TV shows and stuff, but you could audition for a commercial or a zoo special, you know what I'm saying? I did a couple of those because, there was a dinosaur exhibit coming, so they, they want to do a local special about it. Did that, and then they did like the insect exhibit like a year or two later, so you know what I mean? And it was just little kind of things that were kind of, a window into the world or whatever. So that was good, and just, kind of getting my feet wet with things before bigger opportunities like the Mighty Ducks would pop up or Nickelodeon or whatever. And then, my mom being kind of like the first person to introduce me to acting classes, you know what I mean? And like, ended up taking a job at the Alliance, you know what I'm saying, as a receptionist to kind of like get a discount on the price, you know what I'm saying, so I could continue to go and grow, you know what I mean? It was that kind of support thing. So it was never like, come on, we got to go do this for the family. It was like, do you still enjoy doing this? And as long as I was all about it, she was the main one to take me. You know what I'm saying? And like try to look out for me when it was, you know, contract negotiation times or whatever. And then, you know, the early Nickelodeon days when we were working in Orlando, you know, she was able to come down. You know what I mean? Like, because, you know, thank God, you know, Kel's family was, you know, very open and loving people, so she could go back and forth and make it work like that. Yep.
Was there a particular moment where you kind of felt like, okay, now I'm going to do this?
Yeah, it was after my very first commercial, my very first like paid job. It was a commercial for Lee's Famous Country Recipe Chicken.
Oh yeah?
They weren't even in Georgia, so I never saw the commercial. I think it played in like Tennessee and Alabama and like the Carolinas, like everybody else except Georgia, because there wasn't a restaurant there.
Yeah.
And they paid me $800 to like eat chicken all day. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, that might as well be $8 million, you know, because I was 11 or 12 at the time. And I was like, yeah, I like this kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I kept, you know, going after it. And I was starting to pay attention to other child actors, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people I see in a bunch of different movies. And I'm like, okay. And then I started hearing about, you know, if you do get a national commercial, it could pay you this, or it could pay you these amount of times or whatever. And I was like, man, this business is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I started to kind of be aware of, you know, the opportunity for, you know, a financial kind of steadiness as I get older. Especially, I was like, if I start early enough, maybe I can get on a track where I can constantly be making money like this. You know, forget about, you know, getting to like Eddie Murphy status or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If I could just get on a train, you know, and get a Publix commercial, you know what I'm saying, get a Sonic commercial, get a this, get a Kroger, you know what I mean, get a national joint. That was like, you know, the big dream back then. You know?